so everybody knows that it's recording, and we're good. We're good.
Not last week to record.
Yeah.
All right. So I want to welcome Courtney. Thank you so much for taking
Thanks
your
for
time
having me
to jump on your call. It kind of was perfect timing that you and I met on Instagram.
Yeah.
We always work on personal development in our challenge groups in addition to the health and fitness, because I think that's definitely something we all struggle with. And I think we as coaches all really believe that you will get more long-lasting, real results if you work on the inside as well as the outside. So we had kind of just around the same time we met, been starting our new book club book, which was the Self-Love Experiment. And when I started following you on Instagram and saw you posting about your self-love journal, I was like,
you have one.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Like it ties in perfectly with exactly what we're doing. So we thought it would be kind of fun because I know a few of the girls have bought the journal. And so I thought it would be kind of fun if we and kind of talk to us, tell us a little bit about yourself and your background, what kind of led you to develop how you got started, and if it's something, body image, and that is things that you've dealt with or felt, and just kind of tell us what your experience is in starting your podcast and your journal. We can't hear you're a construction worker, so you're good.
Do you want to come in and say hi? I'm just doing a Zoom call with a couple of gals.
What's up, Zoomers?
They'd probably like to see him because he's nice on the eyes, you know?
Nice.
Oh, I don't want lunch. No, I'm okay. No, I'm fine. Thank you, though. He was asking me if I wanted lunch. She's ordering lunch. What a nice contractor. Okay.
Yeah.
So while you were talking a little bit, I don't know if other people had it cutting out a little bit, but I think I got everything that you said, just about my background and where this came from.
Yeah.
So I've actually worked in the fitness industry for about almost 15 years. You guys probably have heard of the name Good Life Fitness. I actually work for Good Life Fitness full time. I don't, on my Instagram and in my brand, I don't really advertise that. But I kind of work for the back end department and typically in the group fitness department. So I've been in the industry for a long time and started out quite young. I'm now, 15 years later, married, have a daughter, have been through pregnancy and all that stuff. And that was a big game changer for me. So I've always kind of struggled with my weight and finding fitness at a younger age. I played sports and stuff. And then when I joined with Good Life, learning about how to move properly and how to incorporate fitness into your life. But over the years, it became very clear that aligning my happiness and my self-worth with when my body looks a certain way is not a way that I can live, because then if I gained a few pounds or my body changed, heaven forbid, I didn't think I was good enough. I didn't think, I didn't have a strong body image. I didn't think positively about myself. I wasn't confident unless X, Y, and Z, unless I had achieved the certain weight that I wanted to be at. So it just sort of happened organically. I started a blog can you guys still hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I started a blog when I was pregnant, and it just started out as a personal blog. And then in the last 2 years, because fitness and health and wellness is stuff that I knew about, I started writing more about those concepts. And the biggest response that I would get was always about when I wrote stuff about body image and confidence and all of that stuff. So it organically grew, and then I kind of had a name change. My original blog was not MomfidentAF. That wasn't my brand originally. Just sort of grew into that. And then I'm a big fan of journaling. And so I looked at my husband one day and said, I'm going to make a journal for moms where you write down things that you love about yourself. You write down things that you're grateful for. And he was just kind of yeah, great. And then it just turned into, okay, now I'm going to have this journal and I'm going to have it as something that I can offer, because for a long time I felt a little bit lost in my branding kind of world. I didn't really have anything to promote. I started the podcast and I could promote that, but I didn't really have anything that I could say, this is how I'm going to help you. You know, I can talk on the podcast and you can listen. That's great. But I wanted to be able to provide something that women could tangibly use, because journaling has been so helpful for me over the years. I just thought it would be a great addition. So I kind of just organically created it. And yeah, it's really, I personally used it, like before it was even printed, I was using it, just testing it out. The hardest thing was always the section that says something I love about myself right now. And that is continually the thing that most women say is the hardest question for them to answer at the beginning, because we are so conditioned to just look at the things we don't like about ourselves because we want to change those things. So what the whole purpose of the book is to get people to start learning how to love themselves right now, wherever you are in your journey, wherever you are in your stage. Yes, continue to work on fitness. Yes, continue to be healthy and make good food decisions and learn about health and wellness. But if you don't deal with the stuff that's going on in here and how you view yourself and build that sense of self-worth around exactly who you are, regardless of what you look like on the outside, you're going to get to your goal and then still not be happy. Right. So yeah, the journal is designed. It's if any of you haven't, you've seen it. There's basically 2 pages per day. It's 6 or 7 questions. There's some inspiring quotes. So every page has a different quote. And you basically, the idea is, the way that I see it and the way that works kind of best for me is, first page, early morning while I'm having my coffee, if possible. If you have a toddler like I do, sometimes it doesn't always work out perfectly like that. And then the second page after, like at the end of the day, because the second page is kind of like a reflection of what happened during your day. Did you have any difficulties? Did you have any negative self-talk? And just like journaling that stuff out. Also writing down things that went well. And because I also love personal development and learning new things, the last section is something you want to try, something new you want to try, whether it's tomorrow or this month, you want to focus on something. There's also places for gratitude, places for kind of like things you want to accomplish in the day, your movement plan for today, and then a mantra and affirmation. So yeah, I don't want to ramble on about things that you guys aren't interested in hearing. So I want to make sure this is catered to you and that your time is used in a valuable way. So I don't know if that's enough of an explanation of where it came from, or if you want me to go any further, or if you have questions. Like, Carla, yeah. I want to make sure I'm not like using up all your time just blabbing away.
No, I think that's really awesome. And one thing that I really like that you stated in the front of it is that if you do it for a few days or a couple weeks and then you stop, that's okay. And then just when you all of a sudden get back, okay, I need to do that again, get back. Yeah. I like not dated, because that is one thing that I always struggle with. I have really good intentions of journaling or, consistently, creating affirmations for myself or even meditating. And then I stop. Mm-hmm. And then I don't get back to it, which I think that is exactly what we promote as with fitness.
Absolutely. I was just going to say that. It's just trying to keep your clients or whoever is working with you to know that if you do happen to fall off the wagon, like just pretend there is no wagon and just keep going. You miss 3 days, fine, jump back in right after. You do 5 days in a row and you miss the 6th day, or you do 2 days, like whatever, just jump back in. Like there's no specific timeline that says you have to do X, Y, and Z in this period. Like just keep going is basically the message. Yeah, that I agree. I like that you can miss a day by accident or do 6 days in a row or miss a week and then jump back in. There's no like, oh, I missed dates. You just continue with the same next page, right?
Yeah. So that I really appreciated, because I'll even buy an agenda in January with good intentions of I'm going to be on track and organized this year, and all of a sudden by middle of February you haven't used your agenda in a month and you're like, crap, now I feel like it's a waste. Where this, if I feel like if I miss a couple days, it's okay, just jump back in and keep going. So that's really helpful. So one thing I think that we all struggle with, and I know especially when we have new clients that we're working with, the negative self-talk. Mm-hmm. So how were you able to go from a place of, when you first started, like say after pregnancy or whenever it started for you, that you really started finding you had the body image issues, to being a place, like as much as we say we want to push out the negative self-talk and be confident in who we are, how do you get from A to B, or how did you get from A to B?
So I think a lot of the times negative self-talk comes from comparison. And whether it's comparison to yourself against someone else or comparison from yourself to yourself. I fell into the trap of looking at my body pre-baby, looking at my body 5 years ago, 10 years ago, when I had different circumstances. I had different, I could go different places. I didn't have as much of a schedule. And looking at that versus where I am now, I got these feelings of like, oh my gosh, I'm going to run into someone who I knew 10 years ago and they're going to be like, holy crap, she doesn't look the same as she looks before. Like as if we're some type of like robot that can never change, our bodies can never change. So comparing yourself, whether it's to an old version of you or comparing yourself to anybody else, because we are all completely different. So I have to be very careful still to this day with social media. I have to make sure I'm not following accounts that are having me compare in that way. I also found it really helpful to follow accounts and be careful with my media consumption, social media and external, to see that different bodies are represented. So social media, I have really a lot of control over that. And I love seeing accounts with all different fit bodies because healthy looks different on every body. I eat very well. I exercise regularly, but I'm still like, I'm 210 pounds. Like I'm 5'10", I'm heavy. I've always been heavy. So for me to look at another person and compare myself to them, I had to really acknowledge that and say, we're not the same. We're on different journeys. We have different genetics. We have different bodies. So the comparison thing, if you can start getting that under control, I think makes a big difference, because your circumstances and your genetics are just never going to be the same as anyone else's. And then also speaking kindly to yourself. So the journal has a few places where you can start to do that. And the idea with the journal is that it's tricky for women often. I don't want to say all the time because some women are very good at thinking of things they like about themselves, but the general consensus is that something I love about myself right now is always the hardest thing for people to answer. And the pages are all the same, and they're the same on purpose, because the point of this is to start getting you thinking positively about yourself proactively instead of reactively. So instead of me saying, Carla, what do you love about yourself right now? And you're like, let me think for a minute. I want you to start noticing things based on using the journal, or whether you use the journal or not. Start thinking of those things and having them pop up in your head so that you're like, oh, I love that today. I'm going to put that in my journal tomorrow. And then eventually it becomes so easy for you to write down things that you love about yourself because you're now proactive instead of reactive. Same with gratitude. So thinking about the really good things in your life, at first you're kind of like, I don't know what to write there. Gets a little easier slowly over time, but then eventually you're proactive about it and you're like, oh, that was so great. I'm going to put that in my journal tomorrow or next week, so that things start kind of piling up. Speaking kindly to yourself. This is something I talk about a lot too. You have to really reel in those thoughts, because your mind doesn't differentiate between the thoughts that come in. Your mind will just believe. So if it's a negative thought, your brain's going to believe it. If you can start focusing more on positive things versus the negative things, that's what your brain's going to believe. So sometimes it's on a targeted area. I have like kind of a stomach, like mommy tummy kind of, I have stretch marks all over it. So trying to redirect that energy when I was feeling like that in the summertime was one period, because often it's showing more. And this sounds kind of corny, but like I would put my hands there and just say like, I love this part of me. The stretch marks I got through having my daughter, like really trying to redirect that energy. And it takes time and it takes focus. Like it's not something that you wake up tomorrow and all of a sudden you're perfect at. But what I often say is speaking to yourself nicely and kindly is kind of like brushing your teeth. You can't practice an affirmation one time and then after a week or a day or whatever, you're thinking, oh, how come things haven't changed?
We might have lost her. I'll just jump in. Can you guys hear me? Well, we wait and see if she gets back on. One book that's really good for the gratitude portion, if you're looking to journal or take note of things that you're grateful for, how Courtney was saying, that's really hard sometimes to think of those things that you're grateful for. I think it's The Magic. That's the one, isn't it? It's the follow-up to The Secret. And The Magic is all about gratitude. And so each day it kind of gives you a homework assignment, and things to specifically think about being grateful for. So that really helps you to start to think about all the little things that you don't think about, like things like even the air we breathe. Like, it doesn't have to be big things, but it is really hard when you first start to think. You always think, oh, my kids, my husband, my dog. But it can be so much more than that. And I think the more you can recognize all those little things, it makes it easier to think of gratitude in a different way. And as well, I'll say with the comparison thing, that is totally that Courtney talked about. That is definitely, I think, probably why we struggle with that even more nowadays. And the young, like teenage girls are struggling with it even more because social media is so in our face and it is so easy to compare to other people. So yeah, that's definitely, she's right about that. The comparison thing is huge. Yeah, I don't know. She must have lost her connection. Do you guys have anything to?
I'm here talking and my mic was off. No, I just wanted to say that with when she was talking about the negative talk, like I literally like, you know, those things that she said were like just bang on. And it's like, you know, so many women that we deal with or new clients or, you know, even ourselves, like I'll admit that's like me right there. You know, I do that self-comparison to me from 10 years ago, where what I look like my whole life until now. But I mean, I wasn't, you know, you don't think about those, like, you're right, I wasn't living the way I am now 10 years ago. But
and I think like when you're trying to lose weight or you're trying to reach a health goal or whatever as well, that's one thing that I find interesting. And it was kind of an eye-opener for me with doing 80-Day Obsession, is you get a number in your head and you think, oh, so-and-so weighs 135 pounds. I want to weigh 135 pounds. And realistically, that number might not even be possible for your body type or for who you are.
Do you know that okay, go on, sorry.
And so we create, as women, we create these visuals in our head that are so unrealistic for ourselves. And so with 80-Day Obsession, when we were doing that, I remember thinking, oh, I have this goal weight I want to get to, so I'm going to stay in the weight loss bracket. And all of a sudden, I stepped back and I looked in the mirror and went, why do I want to lose more weight? Why do I need to lose another 8 pounds? Switch to maintenance and just work on being fit. And like, you have to really be aware in your mind and not always just looking at somebody else and making that comparison.
Yeah.
Courtney's back.
Hi. Were you guys all still here? It was just me?
It was just you left us.
Oh. I'm gabbing away, and then all of a sudden everyone was frozen. I'm like, uh-oh. Everyone's frozen.
I just mentioned for the gratitude portion that if anyone struggles with coming up with ideas for gratitude, because sometimes it's hard. You always think of, oh, my kids and my husband. A really good book to get in the habit of thinking of all the little things is The Magic. I don't know if you've ever read that one. It's the follow-up to The Secret, which I've never read The Secret, but it gives you a daily homework. I don't know what, like it's just broke down into days, and I can't remember how many days it is. 28 days? I don't know. I can't remember. But each one is just a little assignment. So it gets you thinking about, like, one day might be money. So it has you, every time you pay a bill, you write thank you at the top of that bill. So instead of always worrying about whether you have money to pay your next bills, be thankful, okay, I have money to pay this phone bill. Like, it's, each day is like a little thing. Like when you work out, you're supposed to put like a little sign, I'm thankful for my health because it gives you life. I can't remember what it is. And like one day is about being thankful for like the air you breathe. Like it's all the little bigger sense. And then I was also just talking more about comparison as well, about how even in weight, you'll see somebody who weighs a certain amount and then you think that's my weight loss goal, when in reality that might not be realistic for your body type at all. So to stop than the numbers. Like, stop looking at the numbers and just take a good look at yourself and just be happy with all the, what you have. And let me see what else I had on my list here.
Yeah, the weight part is really tricky for me and always has been, because I have been heavy forever. So even at my most fit, like the most fit I've ever been, I was like 180 pounds. That was my lightest fit, but I wasn't being very healthy to achieve that. And it wasn't maintainable for me. So I had to get past that and go, I'm working out more for the inside, not for the outside. If the outside changes, that's great. But the more I could focus on it being for the inside, or for the things that I could accomplish, lifting a certain amount of weight, lifting my baby, being able to carry all your bags of groceries, and then lift your arm and push the button closed on the tailgate, and then bring them down, and then truck it into the house carrying all the groceries. Like, I had to put it in that way. And for so long, it was only about the external. So the moment I started thinking about it being for the inside, that's almost like you kind of forget about the outside, focus on the inside, and then the outside stuff kind of comes, But I'm always heavier than everyone else. Like, I'd be one of the ones, if you put me beside another person who perhaps is overweight at 200 pounds. And, could I lose 15 pounds? Probably. But do I have cupcakes for my daughter's birthday last night? Yes, I do. I had 2 of them. I don't feel bad about it. Do I eat really well most of the time? Yes, I make an active effort to eat as healthy as I possibly can, but I used to be so restrictive, and that was not good for here. I have to be more just allowing things into my life. So whether it's about fitness, whether it's about positive thoughts, whether, whatever it is. Yeah. Sorry, did you have another question? Again, I don't want to be like wasting people's time and keep yammering on.
I had something I was going to say. Now I forgot. Oh, shoot. I should have.
Sorry. Blah, blah, blah.
No. Anyways, did anyone else, while I try and think of what I had to say, does anyone else have anything they'd like to?
No, I just wanted to share like how I loved how you just talked about like your weight, and like how we were just talking about when you got cut off there. And one of the things that I did recently, because I struggle, because I used to weigh, like this, and now I'm like, 40 pounds heavier than I ever was. And I'm also 42, and I've had a lot of things happen, right? But one of the things I did was I went online, and how Carla was talking about the number. So I was like, okay, I'm going to be one of those people, and I'm going to put in my weight, and I'm going to put people, and I want to compare myself to these people. And I would look, and I was like, no way they weigh that much. They look smaller than me. And I was like, see, so there's no way of really, like you said about the comparison, you can't compare yourself to somebody else at the same, everybody looks different at a certain weight. And it was crazy, because I was like, wow, I'm like, okay, maybe I should just stop thinking about the number and worry about how I feel.
In general, we placed way too much value on that number. Instead, I would say, if you are tracking and the purpose of your fitness goal, maybe you do want to lose weight. Maybe you I'm not against losing weight if that's something that is a fitness goal of yours. And if it's going to make you more healthy, some people need to lose weight because they're unhealthy, right? So I'm not opposed to a weight loss goal, but perhaps less about how much you weigh on the scale, and it's more about, if you want to lose 15 pounds, that's great. Work towards losing 15 pounds. If you wind up like me being 185 pounds, after you lose 15 pounds, it's like, great. Why would I be upset that I'm 185 pounds, someone else is 125 pounds, and I'm like, oh man, I don't weigh 125 pounds. Think about just the small amount that you do want to lose, or the large amount that you want to lose, and less about the specific number on the scale. This is hard though for women. It's very hard. We've had the scale thing forever. It's totally your mind. Exactly, Darlene. And there's a great thing that's going around. I don't know if Carla shared it or if I saw it from somewhere else. I feel like I've seen it from a few people. It's like, you can eat healthy, you can work out, you can train, you can do all these healthy things. But if you don't work out what's going on in here, it's like having no foundation in your house, right? You're not going to be healthy if you don't build that foundation super strong, because different shit can happen to your house. The outside can get, wrecked by whatever natural disasters. But if your foundation is solid, you can build yourself back up from there, right? So I always try to think of it that way. Work on the foundation, what's inside first, so that if I gained 20 pounds, I'm still valuable. I still have a voice. I still can contribute. I'm still a great mom. I'm still a great person, instead of thinking, oh my gosh, I gained 20 pounds and now I'm useless, So
I remember what I was going to say.
Great.
In talking about goals or how we approach things, for me, it's changed huge in the last 2 years. I'll be 43 in January, and the age thing has completely changed it, because you have to at a point stop comparing yourself to your younger self. You can't defy age, and you're going to get older. So it really changes it and puts more of the focus on the health and doing it for your health and doing it so that you have energy and longevity. The reason I even got started in fitness in the first place was because after I had my first baby, and I never can remember if I started before or after my second one. Like, it's all a blur. But I think I started, but before I got consistent, it was after my second one. I had no energy. I just remember feeling, this is what 30-something is, and I guess you're just supposed to feel tired and old and fat and like gross. Like, I just felt blah. I had no desire to go out in public because I just wanted to curl up, tired and whatever. And so that's when I really finally had a good reason to want to start taking care of myself. And I'd say, if nothing else, regardless of my size or my weight loss, finding that energy and that like desire to challenge myself is what always keeps me going. And that is even more important as I get older, because it's finding those things to challenge yourself that makes you still feel vibrant and have that zest. So yeah, I think that in a way, age has helped me to be happier with just who I am. And it could go the other way, because I know it could be a struggle to age, but for me, it's really given me a different approach to my health. So yeah.
Yeah, my mom makes that point a lot because she'll listen to my podcast. She listens to all of them. And she kind of has a hard time. She used to be, and if you've listened to any of my podcasts, you might notice I've said, a few times, would often talk about her stomach, and she didn't like her stomach. She didn't like her stretch marks. She didn't like this. She didn't like that. And she was part of the huge diet culture growing up I was born in late 80s. So in the 90s, she was always on a diet, always diet this, diet that, low fat, constantly. And so it didn't ruin me, but it definitely affected me into thinking okay, what's going on with my mom? She's not eating a potato at dinner. What's happening with that? I'm just kind of noticing it. But she's 60. She just turned 60 this year. And she kind of wasn't understanding some of the concepts I was talking about. She was like, well, why are you talking about that? Negative self-talk or worrying about what you look like. She's like, I think you just get to a certain age and you're just whatever, this is what I look like. And I want to encourage more people at a younger age, closer to my age group in their 30s, right? Be comfortable with who you are right now. If you want to make changes, great, make changes. If not, you need to work on being secure with yourself right now. But a lot of people don't have that. And so I have to explain to her that, Mom, you get to a certain age and you're happy with yourself because whatever. But some younger people, younger moms, people have gone through transformations, gained weight, lost weight, whatever. We don't have that natural, I'm just good with myself. It takes work to get there for a lot of people. So I had to kind of explain it to her a little bit. And then not comparing yourself to what your body looked like before. I think women do that a lot. We're always constantly I want to look like I did, in college, or I want to look back when I was so fit, but also your metabolism is different then because you're a younger age. But men have this too. And we somehow just skip over that all the men, perfect example, Leonardo DiCaprio, Titanic age. Leonardo DiCaprio, what's that blood? Is it called Blood Diamond? Whatever. His later movies. He is not fat, but he is not the same size as he is in Titanic, because in Titanic, he was 19 or something. Still a great, attractive looking guy, still a friggin' talented actor, completely different body type. But for some reason, women are looked at oh, she doesn't look the same as she did in that first movie she did 20 years ago. Of course she doesn't. Some of them do, but of course not, because you're different when you're 20 years older. Your body's different.
I think the other thing too is that one thing I love about our community that we've created and Beachbody as a whole is that we supporting women, because just in you saying that too, I think a lot of women will cut up somebody, oh, she's not as thin as she was in that movie, or she doesn't look the way because they want to, they think it's making them feel better about themselves to negatively talk about another woman. And it's really, the more we can support each other and have each other's back, then the happier we'll be. Yeah.
Totally. Yeah. Actually, it's just funny you say that, because the podcast that came out this morning was about like not feeling good enough. And part of the message was reach out to another woman, because she is putting out stuff, whatever industry she is in. And even if you think her stuff is amazing, she's probably, because she's a woman, by virtue of being a woman, she's probably doubting herself and thinking she isn't good enough and her stuff isn't good compared to X, Y, and Z. And meanwhile, you're over here thinking, wow, her stuff's great. You know, she's doing such a great job. So sending that to a person, and even like a person that's out of the blue, you don't even really know them, but you've just admired and followed them. And you're like, girl, your shit's great. I just have to tell you that, because chances are she's probably like, I don't know, is this right? I'm not really sure what I'm doing. You know, we're just like doing what we can and fake it till you make it, you know, trying to figure it out. So,
which is so true. Like, so my daughter trained doing competitive gymnastics. So all of the girls trained 5 hours a day, 25 hours a week. Her body, like, she's got an 8-pack. She's built like,
I bet,
you know, she's got an incredible body, but she's the only one there that had the 8-pack, but it's all in how she's built, right? Like, that's
genetics.
It's genetics. So now she's in high school. She's had to give it up to focus on school. But in another class, a girl who I said to her, it's jealousy, but put her down in front of the whole class because she hasn't developed in the chest area like the rest of the girls, and saying how she wouldn't want to look like her. I mean, we're all biased with our own children, but my daughter's beautiful. And I'm just like, she's tearing you down
to make herself feel better.
Exactly.
Yes,
and I'm
totally.
like, all of you did the exact same thing when you were in that gym, and you all looked different, but you were all healthy. You were all
in your own way.
It's unfortunate that, yes, we do. We compare ourselves and then we tear each other down.
It's a mechanism. It's a defense mechanism to make ourselves feel better. Shameless plug here. There is I don't have it with me, but there is a girls journal that I just came out with. So if you do have like preteen, it says, you know, between 8 and 13 age, a teenager could also benefit from it, but similar concepts, only 1 page per day. It's all female quotes in it instead of like this. The mom one has like a mixture of different quotes. There's notes pages, all that stuff. But if you did have anyone in your life who is preteen, sort of 9, 10, 11, tween age, that's available as well on Amazon.
I was going to ask you about that. How old do you think? Because my daughter's in high school as well. And I think
honestly,
something like
I've
that.
given an age range just so that people are like, oh, okay. Like a mature 7-year-old. I have a niece who's 7. She's been using it every day. I gave her like a pre-copy and she's been using it and is able to understand the concepts. It's not difficult. It's just that you might have to, if you have a 7-year-old, you might have to explain some of the stuff to them. But honestly, like the stuff in the girls journal, I could benefit from using every single day as an adult. They're just, it's a little bit simpler, and there's a little bit of like the affirmations they copy, like they just rewrite what's written there instead of coming up with their own. So it's just a bit simpler, but like a teenager could easily benefit if they're open to journaling, or if you can kind of open their eyes a bit to journaling and say, why don't you try this and see if it makes a difference? It talks about kindness and how they can be kind to one another. So helping that, girls, you know, supporting girls, not tearing each other down. Talks about gratitude, something they love, making their body strong. And then if they had something difficult during the day, I mean, if my niece doesn't have a lot, she doesn't normally write anything really in that section because she's just usually like, it was a great day. But then she'll also, it's supposed to help inspire them opening up conversation too. So it says, if I had a difficult feeling today, who can I talk to about it? You know, and then she'll put like my mom or whatever. So trying to open that conversation if they are having something that's difficult. So anyways, shameless plug. Sorry. Just in talking about girls and gymnastics.
My daughter is 6.5. And I think even that age, I honestly think that would benefit, even if it is unbelievable. It started like kindergarten and now grade 1, it's even worse. They're already mean to each other. And when I went to her parent-teacher interview 2 weeks ago, I was not concerned about the academics. I could care less. My entire parent-teacher interview was about finding out all this girl drama that she comes home telling me about, and wanting to know as well, like, I'm not the type of parent that, it's my daughter would never do that.
Right.
I was like, okay, how much of a part is Ellie playing in this as well? Because I know they get very possessive of their friends, and so it just comes off as a natural reaction that you can't play with us today. And so I wanted to get the full story from the teacher so that I can talk to her about it appropriately. And I feel like even that journal at that age would just get the communication going, because it starts in kindergarten. Like, it is.
That's what I keep hearing. It's starting so much earlier now, which is so sad.
Yeah. We'll put the links as well when we post this in our group. We'll put the links for both journals in the comments of our post as well in the group, because I think they're both really great. But we won't keep you anymore. That's 40 minutes already. And unless anyone has any other questions, we'll, if anyone has anything else they want to add. If not, we will just say thank you very much for taking the time to come and talk to us. It ties in perfectly with what we've been talking about in our book club right now, and what we're always talking about in our challenge group. So thank you very much for.
Thanks for having me. This was so fun. I love chatting about this stuff. If you guys do have any other questions or want to reach out, just find me on Instagram, send me a DM, and we can connect that way. I like sending video messages too. So if you have a question, I'll be like, hi, this is my answer to your question. Come and find me.
Yeah, thank you. I want to second that, and I'm sure everybody else does. It's been very helpful.
Having me.
Yeah, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Hey, let's do a boomerang before we leave.
All right.
Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3.
Did it work? Tag me. I still have yet to figure out. I know you guys are probably Zoom calling a lot. I only use, like, I just see. Okay, so I don't know if this is questionable or not. Do you guys know Kim Fitzpatrick?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm not affiliated with her. I just know her through people, through lots of different, even through Good Life. Like, I started to get to know her. But anyways, I did a Zoom call with her. She was on my podcast a while ago, and she was like, taking pictures and let's do this. I got to tag it, put my story. And I was like, I just record my podcast. I don't do it often enough to know, like, okay, let me change the angle and I got to do this and that. So I was just like in the background. I don't really know. But she was so, just like you guys, she was like, meh, and just done, was finished. Love it.
Tagging you.
Tag me. MomfidentAF.
Yeah, we'll tag you.
Tag in one.
Yes.
All right, thank you so much.
Thanks for having me, ladies. Nice to meet you all. Have a good weekend.
Have a great